Hi. Well, Mr. Lazy appeared in Little Miss Lake's life, so I think we'll read Mr. Lazy next. There's Mr. Lazy. Mr. Lazy lives in Sleepyland, which is a very lazy-looking and sleepy-like place. The birds in Sleepyland fly so slowly they sometimes fall out of the sky. My goodness. The grass takes so long to grow, it only needs cutting once a year. That's good for Mr. Lazy. Even the trees are lazy-looking and sleepy-like. And do you know what time everybody gets up in Sleepyland? Okay, there's Sleepyland. The trees do look lazy. The answer is they don't get up in the morning, they get up in the afternoon. And incidentally, this is what a Sleepyland clock looks like. Everything takes so long to do, there's only time for 4 hours a day. Anyway, this story starts with Mr. Lazy being fast asleep in bed. In Sleepyland, they call that being slow asleep. He spends rather a lot of time in bed. It's his favorite place to be. I think some of us humans feel that way sometimes too. He opened his eyes, yawned again, and went back to sleep. His favorite place to be. Later, Mr. Lazy opened his eyes again, yawned again, and went back to sleep again, making him quite happy. Much later, Mr. Lazy got up and went to make his breakfast. We say breakfast, although really it was tea time. He put the kettle on to make some tea. Kettles take 2 hours to boil in Sleepyland, and then he toasted a slice of bread. Bread takes 3 hours to go brown in Sleepyland. Toast never gets burnt there. My goodness, he has to wait a long time for breakfast. I wonder if he'll go back to sleep. While he was waiting for his kettle to boil and his bread to toast, Mr. Lazy went into the garden of Yon Cottage, which was where he lived. He sat down on a chair, and you can probably guess what happened next. That's right. He yawned and yawned again and went to sleep. There he is in front of Yon Cottage. Suddenly, he woke up with a jump, which is something that doesn't happen very often to Mr. Lazy. And the reason he woke up with a jump was because of the noise. "Wake up," said the noise. "Wake up, wake up, wake up." There were 2 men standing in front of him. They really startled him. "I'm Mr. Busy," said one of the men. "And I'm Mr. Bustle," said the other. "Come along now," said Mr. Bustle busily. "We can't have you sleeping all day," added Mr. Busy, bustling Mr. Lazy to his feet. But who are you?" asked Mr. Lazy. "We're Bustle and Busy," they replied. "Oh," said Mr. Lazy. There they are. "Come along now," said Mr. Busy. "We haven't got all day." But, said Mr. Lazy. "Oh, no time for buts," said Mr. Busy. "Or ifs," added Mr. Bustle. "There's the wood to chop, and the beds to make, and the floors to clean, and the coal to get, and the windows to polish, and the plates to wash, and the furniture to dust, and the grass to cut, and the hedges to clip, and the food to cook. Oh, my goodness. And the clothes to mend," added Mr. Busy. Oh, my goodness. Makes me tired thinking about all that to do. "Oh, dear," groaned Mr. Lazy in a daze. "The wood to clean, and the beds to get, and the floors to cut, and the coal to cook, and the windows to make, and the plates to mend, and the furniture to chop, and the grass to wash, and the hedges to dust, and the clothes to clip. He had got it all completely wrong. He was in such a daze. Then Bustle and Busy set Mr. Lazy to work, chopping and making and cleaning and getting and polishing and washing and dusting and cutting and clipping and cooking and mending, not to mention all the fetching and carrying. Oh, poor Mr. Lazy. Wow. They can get him to do all that. That's impressive. Now, they said when he'd finished, it's time for a walk. And off they set on the longest walk Mr. Lazy had ever been on. Mr. Lazy is one of those people who never walks when he has a chance of sitting down, and he never sits down when he has a chance of lying down. Oh, poor Mr. Lazy. But this day he had no choice. They made him walk for miles and miles and miles until he felt his legs must be worn right down to his body. Poor Mr. Lazy. Wow, look at all those paths back over the hills. When they arrived back at Yon Cottage, Mr. Busy said, "Right, now for a run." "Oh, no," groaned Mr. Lazy. "When I blow this whistle," said Mr. Bustle, producing a whistle, "you've got to start running." "As fast as you can," added Mr. Busy. Mr. Lazy groaned a deep groan and closed his eyes. Mr. Bustle put the whistle to his lips. Whee! Whistle the whistle. Mr. Torture, Mr. Torture, Mr. Torture. Whee! Went the whistle. Mr. Lazy, poor Mr. Lazy, started to run, but his legs weren't getting him anywhere. He opened his eyes and looked down to see why. And the reason his legs weren't getting him anywhere was because he was sitting on a chair in the garden. And there was no sign of Mr. Busy and Mr. Bustle. It had all been a terrible dream. And the whistle was the whistling kettle boiling in the kitchen. Hooray! Mr. Lazy heaved a sigh of relief. And then he went into the kitchen and sat down to have his breakfast and think about his dream. But you know what happened next, don't you? There he is, having his tea. I think is his eye closed? He may have closed his eye while he's thinking about his dream. "Wake up, Mr. Lazy! Wake up, wake up, wake up!" That's the end of the story. I guess Mr. Busy and Mr. Bustle are coming back.